Welcome to the recording for Module 6.1. We're going to be continuing using our Mathematics for the Trades textbook, looking at Chapter 7. And today we're going to look at how to solve more equations and solve formulas. So this will be a little bit of a review. So the objective is going to be solve linear equations in one unknown and then how to solve formulas. So we're going to look at this example. Notice we have an equation of how to solve 2 times x plus 4 in parentheses equals 27. So to be able to do this, we're going to go ahead and distribute our 2 over the x plus 4. So that's going to look like 2x plus 8 as we multiply the 2 times x and 2 times 4 equals 27. We bring it down. And now we want to isolate our variable being the x. And so let's go ahead and get rid of the 8. We're going to subtract it from here, which removes it from the left side. And whatever we do to one side, since it is an equation, we have to do to the other side. So if we subtract 8 on one side, we subtract 8 on the other side. And we're left with 2x equals 19. Now we want to get our x by itself, isolate the variable. So we're going to do the opposite operation of what's being done times x. So we're going to divide by 2. And what we do to one side, we have to do to the other. That will reduce that down to 1x equals 19 divided by 2 will give us 9.5. We can go ahead and do a check for this by taking and bringing 9.5 in and putting it back into the original equation. So it's 2x plus 4 equals 27. And so we'll substitute in the 9.5 for x plus 4 equals 27. And we'll go ahead and solve for this. So 2 times 9.5 is 19. 2 times 4, because remember we have to distribute for both, equals 27. 19 plus 8 is 27 equals 27. And so that is true. So it's always good to check. I won't check the remainder of these for this, but I encourage you to plug the values back into the equation to do a check on the remainder of these examples that we do. So looking at the next one, we have the equation of 5x minus 2x minus 3. So one of the things that's important to remember here is remember that when we're looking at this, that this is a negative 1 in front of that. And so we're going to make sure to distribute that first thing across there. So it's going to be negative 1 times 2x, which will be negative 2x, and negative 1 times negative 3 will give us positive 3, and that equals 27. Let's go ahead and combine like terms, and we end up with 3x plus 3 equals 27. Go ahead and solve it out. Get rid of that 3 on each side, and we have 3x equals 24. I'm going to do the opposite operation, so divide by 3 on one side, divide by 3 on the other side, and x will equal 8. And so when you go and you do a check for that one, just plug 8 back into the original equation, and you should get that they equal 27 on both sides. So when you have variables on both sides of the equal sign, you just want to go ahead and get them together. So and we'll use the same methods that we've used and the same rules to be able to move them from side to side. In this case, let's go ahead and work on this x. It's at the far right, and get it over with the 3x over on the left. So since it's being subtracted, we'll do the opposite. We'll add it. So what we do to one side, we do to the other. That will make 4x minus 4 equals 8. And you might think, well, do I have to actually rewrite 4x minus 4? Because I'm just going to bring down the 4, and so can I do it at the same time? I'd recommend to always keep these separate so you can go back and look if you have any errors on some of the problems that get lots and lots of these values where you're having to move them. So now let's go ahead and move the 4. And we'll have 4x equals 12. Isolate the x by dividing 4 off of each side, and x will equal 3 in this case. And again, you can go ahead and do the check to make sure that works. When you do, make sure to substitute it in the x for this value and for that value when you do the check. Okay. In solving formulas, formulas don't have any values put in them. You're strictly looking at the formula, but you want to solve for something, whether it is the height in a problem that has a formula using height, or if it's a distance when you have a formula that you're looking for distance, rate, and time. But maybe they ask for time instead of distance. So you just have to rearrange the formula. So in this case, if we're looking to try to get r, the problem is going to be asking for r rather than s, which right now the problem is solving, the formula solves for s. S equals r plus p over 2. We'll just go ahead and move these around so that we can find r. And so that means we have to isolate r by itself, and we just follow the same rules. So let's go ahead and rewrite this problem. S equals r plus p over 2. And since we're dividing by 2, let's go ahead and do the opposite operation, which means we'll multiply by 2. So what we do to one side, we have to do the other. This becomes 2s equals r plus p, because those 2's will cancel out each other. And now remember, we're trying to get r, so we're going to go ahead and subtract p on this side. We'll subtract p on this side, and we end up with 2s minus p equals r. Now r is isolated and by itself, and so we've solved the formula looking for r. This will conclude this video for this module.